week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Magic Mike Show, episode 377. Mr. Somich.
What's going on, man?
There's no huzzah? Where's my huzzah?
I thought I was supposed to. I'm Magic and I'm Mike. We didn't do that.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're all thrown off.
I'm
all thrown off today. Your internet is still throwing me off, man. I swear it is not me. It's your internet. You go figure it.
You just froze on me, man. You froze at the intro and then you froze on the screen.
So it's going to be up to the people in the chat because we both think that we are fine and the other one is screwed up. So in the chat, tell us which one of us is more screwy here. We'll figure it out. But anyways, what's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 377, Mr. Somich.
Huzzah!
That's better. Hey, we are back, and we're looking at Lone Star on Memorial Day on Monday. Huge card, pick 5, and it's a lot of races, so we're going to jump into it pretty quickly. You feeling pretty good today?
I'm feeling great, man. This is like the first day that I'm feeling like back to myself after the last 2 weeks of this ridiculous COVID stuff, which is absolutely nutty. Davey, you're wrong. Magic is the blurry one. My internet is wonderful. I'm excited to like actually feel like myself. That game last night was ridiculous. That Blues game, I don't know if anyone saw it. That was just wild to see how that went down. Now we've got Game 6 back in St. Louis on Friday, and if we can somehow pull that out, I kind of like our chances in Game 7 because I think Colorado's going to. And I'm excited to go back to Lone Star, man. I haven't been there for a year. It has been absolutely wonderful down there. Like I had a great time last year. Awesome environment. It's an only live tournament, so it's everyone in the room. It's just I'm pumped up, man. I guess my internet sucks, which is kind of sad.
Oops, there. It's okay. Listen, it's all right. We'll get through this together. Lone Star. It's you know what? This is about as muddy as Lone Star was for you last year when you went. I actually have a better memory probably of that day specifically than you do because it was my first time since the pandemic of being back at a racetrack. I was at Santa Anita with Geist and his family, and it was wonderful to see them and meet his family. But also, that was it was nice to be back out and hang out at the Little Red Feather Suites. So, hey, listen, at least you sound good because you finally have a mic cord again, right?
Yeah, I mean, I decided to not rely on one Aaron Halterman and just went out and bought my own because he is now in Las Vegas and we are 2.5 weeks later and still has not sent my mic cord. So I give up. I spent the $9. We now have good audio.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be another week before we hear back from Aaron because then he's got to recover from his week of wrestling. But hey, all right, like I said, we have Lone Star Park Monday, May 30th, the pick 5, the late pick 5 with a 15% takeout. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're deciding to do this because the pick 4 has a bigger takeout. We could have done the pick 6, which is 12% takeout. It's a 50-cent bet, but the pool's not that big. We don't want to blow it up. So this is going to be a nice big pool. I'm expecting, $300,000-$400,000. It's going to be a big pool for Lone Star. Should be a great one to play. 15% takeout. A lot of competitive races. You can try and play some favorites, beat some favorites. I think we're going to do a little bit of both. So let's do it, baby.
And we have a lot of similarities here, so maybe we'll be able to do a pick 5 in an hour after all. Let's get into it. Riders up. All right, Mike, like I said, we have a lot of agreement, at least until the final leg there. But, hey, let's start things off here with perfect agreement kicking off the All-Stakes Late Pick 5 at Lone Star Park, Race 8. This is the Memorial Day Sprint for 8 older fillies and mares going 6 furlongs on the dirt. My top pick here is the defending champion, number 5, Iris Rose at 5-2. I'm going to do something fun. We're going to do the Asmussen Elliott watch. Every race, I'll tell you where they're at together and whether we're using them or not. They're on the 6-horse Calypso, who's the 7-5 favorite, former Baffert trainee, and neither of us are touching her.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those spots where I thought you either kind of had to just believe in Calypso, coming out of a tough race in the Madison, a grade 1 over a Keeneland. It was the first time out of the Asmussen barn. The races prior to that are good enough to win this, but not necessarily dominate the field and definitely not be a 7-5 favorite. So right out of the gate, I felt like you're either singling this favorite or you're trying to beat it. I felt like the more prudent move we was trying to beat Calypso, especially at that 7-5 number. So I'm gonna go too deep, and I think we actually had full agreement here. Our Iris Rose was actually my top pick in this spot as well. There's enough races that you can point back to where I think she is better than most of this field. I think she gets the lead, which I think is a big part of this, has the highest early time form number, the fastest equinedge speed figure. And if she can get to the front, I think she gets really, really dangerous. I love those races 2 and 3 back. She's been successful at Lone Star. That race at Sunland was really nice 2 back. And Fincher is one of the trainers that I absolutely love at Lone Star Park and at Sam Houston. He is excellent, places his horses very well. He wouldn't put this horse in here unless he thought our Iris Rose was sitting on a big one. So I'm going to go ahead and hope that Fincher properly placed her and that she's able to get it home. Although I do like one other horse, and that's the one Becca's Rocket. Do you want to talk a little about Becca's Rocket?
Yeah, Iris Rose, I'll touch on her real quick. Our Iris Rose, the legendary breeding, and Aaron's in the chat, so I definitely have to bring this up. But she is a full sister to Runaway Ghost and a half to Senior Buscador and a horse named Sheriff Brown. And remember that name because he is actually going to come up later here. But yeah, she's 4 for 9 at the distance. Sorry, I'm going to have a seat here. 4 for 9 at the distance, 4 seconds, never off the board at this 6 furlong distance. So I love it here. Becca's Rocket, to me, if the pace collapses, if Iris Rose is challenged up front and isn't able to hold on, Mike, I think this horse is going to be flying. And with the blinkers, I don't think she's going to be super far back. I think she's going to be in a better position, saving ground, and hopefully from the rail draw, Mike doesn't get pinched too far back. If she can be kind of mid-pack and the pace starts to fall apart, Becca's Rocket, to me, she's flying.
I 100% agree. I think she's the one that logically makes sense to pick up the pieces. I love the fact that we get Lane Luzzy aboard. He is one of, if not the best jockey in this Texas circuit. So I think that's a huge positive. I don't mind the barn switch here. It's from Scott Gellner, 17%, to I believe it's his wife, Jade Gellner, who is 25% currently at Lone Star, 20% overall. The works have been absolutely solid. I don't think this horse you have anything to worry about the horse taking a step backward. And on top of that, to me, this is one of those like logical improvement spots where you have the horse who was running against what I would actually call better horses. I mean, Pauline's Pearl, Golden Curl, 2 back, Chitara, Euphoric last time out. This is a drop in class for the one. This is also 3rd time as a 4-year-old, but it's first off the layoffs mid in the 4-year-old season. I wouldn't be shocked if you see a career best effort here from Becca's Rocket. And again, I love the fact that Luzzy takes them out. So I think the one at 4-1 is the horse that's kind of the overlay. I'm hoping that Our Iris Rose is the best of the speed. Becca's Rocket's the one that's closing. And we just got that with the one photo finishes out noses the 5 at the wire. We get a little bit bigger price when we kick this thing off.
Real quick, let's talk about Calypso. Neither of us use her here, and I don't like the price. Second time Asmussen, but there will be some discussion until we see otherwise, Mike. Whenever horses leave Bob Baffert's barn, they have not been doing well, hardly at all. So you do have a case here, Calypso, now 2nd time starting for Asmussen, and this is a huge class drop from what she faced last time. 6 furlongs is probably a better distance for her. She did break her maiden in a stakes at this distance. That is worth noting. For me, it was a combination of the price, and I just think that she's going backwards, whereas the other short price here, our Iris Rose, is such a hard name to say, is going on an upward trend. So for me, it was a combination of those two things. If you were going to trust one trainer to take over a Baffert horse and keep it maintained, it's probably someone like Asmussen, but that's why I left Calypso out. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the first thing is I like. It seems like she wants 7 furlongs or a mile. That's where most of her races have been at. So we might be just a wee bit short here for her. It's interesting. This is going to be first time Lasix, which is kind of crazy this late in her career, but it's crazy, first time Lasix for her. So we'll see if that makes a difference. My biggest issue really is that the one buyer number that makes her like a 7-5 favorite would be that Santa Monica 2 back where she gets a 94 buyer. Outside of that, she's like the 4th or 5th best horse in this race. And in that race, you had Mernith and CC. I feel like that's an inflated buyer because it's really an outlier for her. So if you draw a line through her best race, which I think is a logical thing to do in this spot, all of a sudden the rest of her form puts her like 5-1 in this field. And you're sitting on 7-5 because the morning line is 7-5, because it's Asmussen, because you're coming out of the grade 1 Madison, because you've had success in California. I believe that 7-5 price is going to be pretty accurate. And you combine all of those things. And it's just, for me, it's way too short for a horse that has too many question marks. She could easily air this field. Don't get me wrong. But at the price that you're seeing, I just don't think there's very much value in using her. And like I'm using a favorite as a single later, so I'm going to try and avoid the favorite here. So for me, it's one of those spots where if I went 3 deep, I would actually go to the 4-horse Skinny Dip right to the inside versus the 6-horse Calypso, because I think you're again getting a little bit better of a price with a horse that has a little bit more of a chance. You're on mute, Magic.
Sorry about that. I was typing. I didn't want to make it. Calypso, I was doing some research on this. She did win the La Brea, a grade 1 last year. Usually that's a race that produces big horses. That was a really slow race. How slow was it? Dr. Shivel was last in the Malibu Stakes on the same card and was still faster than her in a final time. Than what she had. That was when Flightline won in 121 and 2 and just scorched the earth. But even the last place horse who was being eased was faster than Calypso winning the La Brea Stakes. So yes, grade 1 winner, but not a great version of that. Nick brings up the 4 Skinny Dip. Raylu Gutierrez is a jockey that we love to play on this circuit. And even now when he goes to bigger tracks now, Mike, neither of us used the 4, but did you consider at least like Nick did?
Yeah, 4 was my third horse here. So if I went
Okay.
3 deep, I would use the 4. This is second out as a 5-year-old. The horse improved nicely in the 4-year-old season. Came back first off the layoff and ran on the turf at Fairgrounds in a relatively tough race. Faced LEZ, who is an absolute win machine. You go back to some of the dirt races, and they do fit. I mean, you've got that $100,000 non-winners of one allowance at Churchill. My big concern is the horse, when on dirt, is undefeated in the slop and winless on a fast track. And that to me was the difference here. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sunny all 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at Lone Star. So you're not going to get any rain. And when you have a horse that's 3 for 3 in the mud and 0 for 5 in the fast track, that's where I start to get a little concerned. I also don't think Skinny Dip is as fast as our Iris Rose, so I don't think Skinny Dip can wire the field. And when you combine those two things, it made me lean away from using Skinny Dip and keeping this just a little bit short of a race. My ticket's $64. If you wanted to add the 4, you could, but bump it up to, what is that? So 48, my 64, they bump it up to a little over $100, 108. So it'll get a little more expensive if you wanted to add the 4 here. For me, I'm just going to go 1.5, try and get through this leg cheap, and then have a little bit of coverage later.
For those of you watching, when wondering, Mike was thinking aloud. He wasn't actually asking me to do math because he knows better than that. Second leg of the L Stakes Late Pick 5 at Lone Star Park on Monday, May 30th. Race 9, the Spitestown Sprint Stakes for 9 older males going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Asmussen Elliott, they have the long shot Boulder on the rail at 15-1. He's the long shot, Mike, because I think he's a turf horse, but he's here because why the hell not? You and I went 2 deep, and we have agreement on both of those. Who's your top pick?
Yeah, well, first off, it's interesting. Asmussen has Castello, who's riding a lot of his horses here, actually gets the better one in this spot, and I believe the better one later again. So not sure kind of how that whole Elliott thing, because Elliott's usually the A jockey, but I like some other Asmussens that Elliott did not pick up the mount in other races. So have to kind of keep an eye on that. My top pick is a 7-horse, Mr. Moneybags. I thought he made a ton of sense in this spot. Absolutely loves Lone Star, 1 win in 3 races, but has 2 seconds as well. Loves the distance, 7 win in 13 tries with 4 seconds as well. I like the fact that this is a horse with tactical speed. Doesn't need the lead. If he gets it, great. But if he doesn't get it, he's able to win from just off the pace. Coming in great form. So 4 starts here in the 6-year-old cycle, 2 wins, 2 second places. Just missed by a neck out last time. Now, yeah, he's been a pretty heavy favorite in 3 of those 4 races. And so you kind of expect him to do well, but I think he's well spotted here. This race didn't come back all that tough in my mind. And if you run back to really 3 of those last 4 races, I think those efforts are good enough to win. So I'm going to start out with the 7-horse, Mr. Moneybags on top.
Unpopular opinion, I'm taking a shot against the Texas spread. A lot of those wins came against Texas spread company, and he did run well in some open company races, even when losing to Greeley and Ben. That's a good horse to be losing, especially as a Texas spread. I'm going to take a shot against him here. Locals, I'm so sorry. Don't hate me for it. Also, 3-1. I went kind of chalky with this sequence, Mike, so that's why I went a little cheaper for my ticket. So I left him off. My top pick is one that you used as well as the 6. It makes sense at 5-1. I think this horse is in form and improving. Second off the bench, keeps the jockey, same jockey Alvarez from the last 2 starts. But you see the horse that he beat last time out has already come back and won Emerald Forest. Faced a good stakes horse, Frosted Grace, 3 back, who won. Has been keeping good company. Hasn't been in the winner's circle a ton, but 5 of the 7 career wins are at this distance, and really does seem to love the distance a lot here. So I like this horse a lot moving forward. What do you think about him?
This is my third pick in the race. I think he makes a
Okay.
ton of sense. Probably has to run that same race back or improve a little bit, which it gets a little dicey when you run a career best to debut at 7 years old, or to come off the layoff at 7 years old. So a little concerned he can't repeat that race, but if he is able to, it should be good enough to win. I like the 5-1 price. I think you're gonna get every bit of that on race day. So I thought the 6 made quite a bit of sense. A second pick for me was on the outside, the 9-horse Pain. This is one of those where if you go back and you look at the races in the Chad Brown horse, this horse is by far the best horse in this field. I don't think the Hooper was as bad as it looks on paper. That was Speaker's Corner, Fearless, and Officiating, who absolutely ran out of their skin. Payne chased those three and just faded. There's really no. I'm not going to take anything away from him there. Comes back and runs a pretty good effort at a monster number, 69-1. But if you go back and watch that race, it's actually a lot better than even what it says on paper. He was on the inside. He hopped at the start, got off to a terrible start, had to then rally around the field, didn't get the trip he wanted at all. Now we're flipping it and breaking it from the outside with tactical speed. I think the 9 Pain gets a lot better trip here. And if we can improve off that last race, which is, again, a logical improvement spot here, second off the layoff, I think Pain makes a ton of sense. So I'm going to start out with the 7, 9, and the 6. I ended up going 4 deep. Did you use the 9-horse?
Yep, this is my other horse. For horses who's only been in 2 stakes races before, he's got a hell of a back class of. You see who he's been facing here, and the quality of competition. Chessmaster is a horse that we just talked about on Monday's show. Raced yesterday, or was supposed to race it yesterday at Canterbury. I don't know if he actually ended up going in it or not, but can't remember. That was already last night. But yeah, the horse even had that really nice work after the poor effort, going 7 furlongs. You see that, 47 flat work at Keeneland. All right, horse is still good. Let's go. 2 for 3 at the distance. Love it. Your fourth horse is somebody that's being talked about in the chat here. Go mention him.
Yeah, I'm going. McCroon is the last horse I'm going to add on the ticket here. It's the other Steve Asmussen in this spot. I thought this horse, again, makes a ton of sense. It's a 4-year-old who seems to be taking some nice steps forward. It's a Son of Frosted, stands for 20,000, sold for 210,000, and seems to really start to have come into his own. Just kind of seeing some slight improvement. The horse loves hitting the board. He's hit the board in his last 7 efforts now, I think it is, or 6 of his last 7. 1, 2, 3, 7. Yeah, last 7 efforts. Has hit the board in every single one of them, and has faced fairly good company as well. Those are not like when you're an optional 50,000 and NX2, $100,000 allowances at Oaklawn. Those are pretty good fields generally, and that's consistently what he saw. Horses like Jalen's Journey, Heart Rhythm, multiple winners. So I think that he's been facing some pretty good horses. I like the fact that Atkinson bumps him up to the stakes level here, but does it at a smaller race course where you're not getting quite the same level of competition for an overnight stakes. I think you're also going to sit a pretty nice trip here where McCroon's going to be able to sit right off the speed and has a very good closing kick when he is able to stay close. I also like the fact that when you take out the wet races, and I realize, there's one of his sloppy races is actually pretty good. The other one he won on it. But if you take those 2 out and you just focus on the fast ones, his buyers can consistently kind of take a little bit of step up. So I think the horse is going to do well on the track or over a fast track again on Monday. And honestly, like this one, I don't have a huge opinion between the 4, 6, 7, and 9. I think all 4 are fairly close in my mind. So I want a little more coverage in this spot. Hopefully we can just get through this leg.
Boy, the 4 to me just feels like he's going to hit the board with a really great effort. He's one of those horses that if you owned him, boy, you'll love him because since he broke his maiden 7 starts back, he's hit the board every time. It's like the light bulb went off that race, and you see it happen with horses, and it's great. I don't want to play him here at 7-2, though. You make a great point. It's not like he went to Churchill or to Belmont or to a bigger track. They went to Lone Star for this. Where there's bigger horses coming in here than Lone Star usually gets, but it's still Lone Star. So I don't hate you with that one. Let's move on. Third leg of the All Stakes, late pick 5 at Lone Star Park. On Monday, May 30th, race 10 is the Ouija Board Distaff Stakes. I love that name. For 9 older fillies and mares going a mile on the turf. Our only grass race, I believe, in this sequence, Mike. There is no Asmussen because we're on the grass. So where are you going to go on top?
Oh, well, I chalked out. Park Avenue, the 9's lone speed. Park and Avenue, if we run back to that turf race, is the best turf horse in this field. And it's tough for me to get around a load speed who is the best turf horse, especially like when you go through this and you're like, oh, well, some more of the horses have speed. No one has speed like Park Avenue does. I mean, you got some of these races where you're seeing 22 and change, 46 and change opening half miles and going wire to wire. No one can do that in this one. And like, it's just for me, I'd love to get around the 9 here. I really would. I looked at the 7, Avenue de France. I thought that horse was a little bit interesting. I thought about the 6, Island Hideaway. I thought about the 2, Shirley's Temple. But we talk about this a lot on the show. When the best horse also has a pace advantage, it's pretty tough to beat that horse. And I don't want to spend too much money on this sequence if I feel like this horse is pretty tough to beat. And I'm not going to go 7-9 because that seems like it's really foolish, because the 7 and the 9 are going to be the 2 shortest prices in this field. So if I did try and beat the 9, I'd probably do it with a 2 or 6. But to me, Park Avenue wires this field, and it's probably not even going to be that close.
Well, screw you. I'm going 7-9 here. 9 was my top pick in the race. You forgot to mention the best part. Who's riding him? Hall of Famer Victor Espinosa is riding Park Avenue for the first time. He's in town to ride a few for John Sadler. Yeah, I agree with you. Everything about that turf debut makes you go, oh, wow, that's pretty great. If you go back to the Los Al race last December, which Los Al is a track that you say a lot of times plays favorably to turf courses. I mean, that was beat 10 horses going a mile, was drawn outside going a mile, 2 turns at Los Al, and won by 5 lengths. It was my little notes after that race were stakes caliber winning effort. So we haven't seen her do it on the dirt in those 3 tries. Hey, let's give it a shot on the turf here. A great spot for the horse. As far as the 7 Avenue de France, I can't ignore, first of all, it's a 3-time stakes winner, but you've got the French connection. You've got Florent Giroux riding for Leonard Powell. This horse is 5 for 17 on grass, 10 for 17 in the money. It does very well at the distance, but if our horse, the 9, does get pushed a little bit, say from the 1 Pretty in Pink, who 2 back was setting the lead going a little slower than it probably will do. But if you look even further back at Canterbury last summer, was able to attend faster paces. That horse, if they think their one shot is for her to win is to go try and go gate to wire, and she ends up pushing the 9 too much, the 7 to me is the best closer. Yes, it's eating chalk, but my ticket's also a lot cheaper than yours.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, to me, the 9, the 7, the problem is like, let's say the 1 goes, the 9 can sit outside the 1 and still win this race fairly easily. And so I don't see that as like a huge issue from a pace perspective there. The problem with the 7 for me is a mile is almost a little too short, and the horse is going to have to come from way back. And if you watch Lone Star, especially when the turf's firm and there hasn't been much rain, and by the way, it's like 90 today, it's going to be 93 over the weekend. Good luck trying to close 8 to 10 lengths. It doesn't happen. And so if they go 47 and the 7 horse is sitting 6-8 lengths back, it would take a Herculean effort to be able to run down the horse in the lead. And that's to me, it's just this race doesn't set up well for Avenue de France. And I can't swallow 5-2 in a race I think sets up poorly for a horse that's going to play against the track bias.
So let's say the track bias plays up that way. One horse that it considers, who Nick says is the 4 Lavender, who I remember still being in California. I really thought it was not that long ago, but it was last year. But very familiar with her. What do you think of her as an outside long shot at 15-1?
I think she should get a piece. But I think it's going to be tough for her to be able to win. She'd have to run a career best effort and take a monster step forward. But you go back and you look at the mile race on January 15th over Sam Houston's turf course, attended a pace of 46-3 and was able to open up and win pretty easily. However, that was $30,000 N2X at Sam Houston on January 15th. That's not a multiple $100,000 stakes race on the turf and Lone Star's biggest day where we have horses shipping in, right? So waters get a little bit deeper here. I think it'd be pretty tough for Lavender to be able to take a big enough step forward to make some noise. To me, if you want to take a price, I think the price is the 2 horse Shirley's Temple, who has 2 straight wins over this Lone Star Park turf course, clearly running the best of her life. She's a 4-year-old by Temple City who generally get a little bit better as they go. Mindy Willis is one of the better trainers down there at Lone Star. You get Elliott to ride the horse. He's had some success on this horse, including 3 wins over a turf course in Texas. So understands how to be able to get this horse home. You also have that nice step forward the last 2, right? Where you've got buyers that are at least within range of the top horses. You've got an 85 on the page 2 back. You've got a horse that's able to sit tactically and be able to make a move. So if I'm taking a shot against the 9, I would actually take it with the 2, who has a little more tactical speed than the 7.
Let's move on. The penultimate leg, Mike. It is Derby time. The penultimate leg of the All Stakes Late Pick 5, the Texas Derby, race 11. You've got a field of 8 3-year-old colts and geldings going 1 1/16 miles on the dirt. And good news, Asmussen and Elliott, they're back on the 4. King Ottoman at 15-1. He is a maiden. facing this race. But hey, you look at who's the favorite, 5-2 on AP Secret, Cover Me Up at 3-1. You think if that's who the favorites are, or Strike Hard, who's a one-turn horse, why not? We'll take a shot with the maiden. Mike, who's your top pick?
Well, the maiden's actually my second pick in here. I love these last two races. I think these last two races are wonderful betting races. You can find some interesting prices. I'm going to spread in both of these to try and be able to get something bigger home here. My top pick is going to be the 7 Cover Me Up. So I'm going to start out here with the 3-1 shot, who I think should be the favorite. I'm surprised AP Secret is the favorite. Cover Me Up is your speed. Horse is going to be able to get to the lead. Baltus is bringing this horse in from Churchill Downs. If you note, last time the horse we lost to was Creative Minister. The time before that, Ironworks. Time before that, Loudmouth. These are some of the better 3-year-olds that you've seen. If we can take a step forward off that last race at Churchill, Cover Me Up is awfully dangerous here and kind of takes away some of the better parts of AP Secret's game, because Cover Me Up is inside, going to be a little faster. That puts AP Secret behind the 8 ball a little bit. Strike Hard, who wants to be a little bit more forwardly placed, especially going a mile 16th probably in this spot, to me is going to have to take a little more pace pressure. Same with the Presidential, who's the 3 horse. So I think the 7 has a tactical edge on a couple in this field, which gives that horse a significant advantage in my mind over the other horses that are shorter prices, which is why I'm kind of taking a couple shots here. But to me, Cover Me Up should be able to get to the front and could be awfully dangerous taking this field gate to wire if he's able to get comfortable out there.
My top pick in this race, number 7, Cover Me Up 3-1. Yeah. How is Richard Baltus allowed to run? Well, it's not a Stronach track, so I guess that's okay. Though apparently there's video footage that was incriminating enough to kick him off, and Baltus, who is a very opinionated person, didn't make a single peep. So, hey, we're still at Lone Star Park, horse racing, right? I love this horse. You brought up that he was a really good second to Creative Minister last out. Against this field, it's pretty much all I need to know. My other horse, Mike, is the one that you're using, the maiden, King Ottoman, second up for you as well. You kind of look at this and go, why is he in this race when Asmussen's got Presidential, the 3 horse, who's been brought along, nicely, patiently. You can tell probably a little bit more of a project horse. But, after the Lecomte, they're like, a little too much too soon. But, they're bringing him along slowly. You think maybe that's a good spot. No, King Ottoman is here as a maiden, but he faced Western River, who was a pretty good third in the Peter Pan Stakes and might be going off to the Belmont Stakes. You've got Rider Special, who won next out from that. Been keeping good company, but he's also bred to get better as they go longer and as he gets older. And again, this is not a great field. Like, I'm not surprised.
Not a bunch of world beaters here, and we've taken a step forward in all 3 of those races, gotten better and better and better. This is a Curlin out of a Tappet mare, so this horse is bred regally and should really be able to handle the distance as it gets longer here. Debuted at 2 turns, which is awfully tough to do. Comes back again at 2 turns, has Rosario twice, which is Asmussen's main jockey in general. So the fact that Rosario is riding this horse, I think, is a positive for King Ottoman. And I mentioned that the 7 wants to go, the 8 wants to go, the 1 is going to be close to the pace, the 3 is going to be close to the pace. King Ottoman's tactical speed and has a later kick. Last race, especially if you go back and you watch that, kind of everything went wrong and Congressmen looked good winning. So I think that last race actually comes back pretty good. You had some trip issues specifically at the start for King Ottoman in that race. I think if we can get out of the gate a little bit smoother, we're going to get the right setup here. He can come from off the pace and be able to make some noise. Next horse that I used is actually the 2 horse Win the Day. So this one's coming in for Doug O'Neill. Was in the Santa Anita Derby last time out, just way over its head. I mean, it tried to chase Taiba and Messier a little bit, made a middle move, then completely fell off that race. I don't think that he necessarily wanted a 1 1/8. I think this 1 16th distance is about as far as you want to go. But I do like the fact that we decided, okay, we're going to take this horse, we're going to bring him here, we're going to put him in a little bit, again, back into a stakes company after that Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby. If we can continue to improve off that race 2 back, I think the numbers fit. And again, I think this pace is going to be pretty quick. And I wouldn't be shocked if the 2 is one of those horses that's able to pick that pace up. So if I'm coming to play who I believe is the best speed horse in the 7, I want to play the 4 and the 2, who I think are the 2 best horses coming from off the pace in this spot.
Mike, you made a big mistake. You've made a big mistake twice. It's a Derby. Sonny Leone is on a long shot. You left him off once. Don't do it again. He's riding Fowler Blue for Doug O'Neill. You picked the wrong O'Neill. Put Sonny Leone on. I added Sonny Leone's horse to my ticket, so I went back and singled the 9 last race from the turf. I realized after listening to it, I was like, yeah, I should just single the 9 in that spot. I added the 5, so I'm going to go 3 deep here. I'm adding Fowler Blue. Listen, I like that we're adding the blinkers. It's a horse that Luis Mendez trained for a while. I know that they thought quite highly of him. They tried getting him on the Derby Trail. Didn't quite work. They had a lot of high opinions of this horse before. My friend bred and owns this horse. Sent him to Doug O'Neill. He's had good experience sending horses to O'Neill after Mendez in the past. So give me Sonny Leon at 80-1 or thereabouts in the Texas Derby.
Yeah, I mean, this is the wedding funeral, man. You missed the wedding on Sun Leon. Why attend the funeral here when he comes in 6th here? You want to go heads up? I'll take one O'Neill versus the other.
No.
Come on, you always
no.
You have these
it's
big
the
opinions.
Texas Derby. Let me enjoy my 80-1 Kentucky Derby winning jockey and cheer him home. Thank you, Luis. Thank you. Luis gets it. Let's just cheer on Sonny Leon. Now that he's back off suspension again, it's great to see.
I love your big opinions. They won't even back off with $20 for a case of beer. I love the fact that's how fast you fade away from these monster.
You know
opinions.
how expensive and how hard to find formula is. I can't be out here risking baby food right now. Listen.
Okay, I'll throw formula at you for a case of claws. We can do that if you want.
Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Neither of us using the 8 AP Secret before we move on. To me, I think 5-2 on this horse is way too short of a price to take in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Wood momentum, right? I mean, it's just because he ran in the Wood, you're seeing a morning line that I think is not even close to accurate to what this horse could actually do. So, yeah, I think that the horse is going to get bet because you're going to see early voting. You're see Mo Donegal in that line, and I don't necessarily think this horse is very good. I also hate the post. You're the far outside from a speed perspective, so either you're gunning it and you're going to quit, or you're going to have to try and stalk, which you're not very good at. So I think that's not the greatest spot for AP Secret to be in. I also use the one horse Strike Hard, by the way, who I think has some talent. I think this is the best horse to be able to sit behind the pace. So if we do see the 3, the 7, the 8, I'll go. The 1 sits right behind the pace. And I think Strike Hard could pick him up around the turn. It's been in a bunch of tough races, has some good finishes behind horses that I respect. So I ended up going 1, 2, 4, 7 and use the correct O'Neill and Asmussen.
You want to go heads up Strike Hard versus Fowler Blue?
Sure.
So here's the issue with Strike Hard. 3 times he's tried going around 2 turns. 7th beaten 6 3/4. 4th beaten 6 1/2 to Classic Causeway. And then 7th beaten 8 1/4 in the Florida Derby. He just is not a 2-turn horse. And to me, I'm not actually going to go heads up with you. I'm just trying to make a point. To me, at 4-1 especially.
But you offered it. I said yes.
He's a 1-turn horse, Mike. He's a 1-turn horse. Send him to the Woody Stevens. I bet he'd be really great in the Woody Stevens. I don't at a price. To me, this is a bad spot.
Question: you think Classic Causeway wouldn't win this race by 6 lengths if he was in it?
No, he's with Kenny McPeak now. Didn't you hear?
Okay, well, Classic Causeway that ran at Tampa. If he ran this race, if Classic Causeway replicated that Tampa race, he wins this race by 15.
Yeah, but he's with Kenny McPeak now. That's the problem.
Me.
Do you want to play him at 4-1 with Kenny McPeak?
That's not even the question. You're asking me just a bunch of random questions. You won't even do the bet. You said, "Do you want to do this heads up?" I said yes, and you're like, "No, I'm just kidding. I don't really want to do it."
As Dr. Tank says, things got serious. We're talking about baby formula here. All right, Mike. Final leg of the All Stakes Late Pick 5 at Lone Star Park on Monday, Memorial Day, May 30th. The headlining event, the Grade 3 Steve Sexton Mile, field of 10 older males going 2 turns on the dirt. Big race, big prize. Who you got on top?
Ooh, I went with Rated R Superstar, the 1 horse on top. Give me that 10-1 morning line price here for a horse that I think it's an absolute perfect setup in this spot. This race last year, there was not that much speed. This race this year, holy biscuits, a lot of horses want to go. And I think it's going to set up well for horses that want to come from off the pace. Rated R Superstar has a win at a mile, has been able to be successful against some pretty good horses. I think that the 10-1 price is wild to me. I'm shocked that this horse is 10-1. I went through this. And I like this. I would be happy to get 5-1 here on Rated R Superstar. Makes a ton of sense in this spot. I like the cutback to a mile. Has run mile 7 times, hit the board 4 of those 7 times. And like I said, we're going to talk about the 5 Elector. We're going to talk about the 6 Mish and how horrible that is a pick if you did pick it. We're going to talk about the 8 Shaz. This pace is going to be hot. It's going to be heated up there. I think this is going to set up for someone to come off the pace. I think Rated R Superstar is the best horse who's able to do that.
Second pick, partially because how is he 10-1? I'm with you. I'm like, this horse should be about 5-1 was my guess. Here's the thing with Rated R Superstar. Great race. Terrible. Great race. Terrible. Well, we're on the upswing here, Mike. You're getting a good price on a horse that it really is battle tested, and when he gets the right trip, which you can trust Raylu Gutierrez is going to be able to give it to him. Oaklawn's kind of a quirky track, and he does like it there, but it's also, with the way how short the stretch can be with the turns, it's a little weird. We come back to Lone Star, or he comes to Lone Star where he's never been before, but he's done very well in the Texas and Southwest circuits for almost 7 years now. Yeah. By the way, go back and look who this horse faced earlier. He faced Nyquist in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That's how old. Like, Nyquist is on his 8th cycle of children right now.
And you say great race, bad race, but the last 8 races, his worst buyer is an 89, which isn't bad at all. And in 2021 and 2022, this horse has earned almost $750,000. It's pretty darn good. This horse is still in very good form, and I would argue is as consistent as any of the older horses. We're going to talk about 2 younger horses that are trying to step up, but of all the older horses, he is the most consistent horse and the most successful the last 2 years.
My top pick, this would be a good one, is not on your ticket. It is a long shot. The 4 Sheriff Brown for Todd Fincher. I mentioned this is the older. I think he is the older half brother to our Iris Rose. Yeah, she's 5, he's 6. This is a horse that I've always had a lot of thought had a lot of potential. He did get that really nice win at Sunland 2 back, going a mile and an eighth. He does like the distance, 6 for 14. He's 12 for 14 in the money, 11 for 14 first or second there. The race last time out when he was going a mile, I know where this is a mile again, but I'm going to blame Luzzy for that one. It says unhurried. Just kind of let him hang back, and if you're going a mile at Lone Star, you can't do that. We're going to get a different jockey here in Goncalves, who is 2 for 3 for Fincher, has 1 win and 1 mount so far here. So I'm going to use him. I really love this horse, and I love 12 to 1. Why didn't you use him?
Love the works, but I don't see a single race on the page that wins this race. That was my biggest issue. I don't think that, and that's, and we're going back 1, 2, 3, 4, about 12 races here. Not one of them wins this race. And you can make an argument, well, the Pacific Classic number wins the race. Well, the Pacific Classic number is ridiculous. Like they went a mile and a quarter, and you see the other horses in there. That's just a classic inflated number.
You see the horses that were 3rd through 9th in that race, sir. You watch your mouth on the runner-up.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. But like the 95 buyer comes back. That's just not accurate. And then the number last time, the Sexton Mile, which is really the race you could point to, ends up running 3rd to Mo Mesa, CZ Rocket, and Silver Prospector. That would be the other one. And I'd rather have Silver Prospector the 10, which I'm going to use, than the 4 Sheriff Brown. So to expect this horse to run its best effort in the last 13 races as a 6-year-old here, just to me, the price doesn't necessarily line up. Although I like the fact you're getting a closer. I don't hate the 12 to 1 price, but I would rather take other horses who I think are a little more attractive on the price side. My second pick, my other must use, is Elector here, the 5 horse, who I feel like Sadler shipped out specifically for this race. I think this is your speed of the speed. I think Elector gets the lead, and it's a come and get me. I think there's going to be quite a bit of pace pressure. I mean, I mentioned Mish. And I mentioned Shaz, who are the 6 and the 8 horse, who both have speed. Both will probably go. I am not going to use either of them because I feel like Elector is the only horse that could take this field gate to wire. I think both Mish and Shaz are horses that are going to burn each other up. So I like the 5 horse. I like his chances stretching out here. I love Constitution. Miles should hit him right between the eyeballs. This is your fastest horse. And I would expect it's going to be the one that gets the lead going in the first turn.
I did use Electra. I hate the price, but it's hard to ignore Sadler, like you said, sending these horses out. Victor riding for him. All signs seem to be go for him. He's bred to handle.
This is interesting.
Stretching out to 2 turns. What did you say?
So Luis just said, I'm sure you all know this, but the 5 Electra didn't make the trip scratched. I've not heard that yet. So if that's accurate, that changes things up a little bit here. But
I also love, I'm sure you all know, but as we're talking about the horse, per DRF. Awesome. Well, you know what? Let's talk about the 10. I'm gonna look this up real quick. I'm sure it's right. Luis doesn't have never comes in here and lies before. But let's talk about the 10 horse Silver Prospector, 3rd on the card for me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, Silver Prospector I think is interesting, especially if you like Rated R Superstar. Race 3 back against Olympiad was a monster race. The horse ran really well, going a mile and a 16th in the mine shaft, grade 3 race. I think you're getting a little bit of a cutback here from a talent perspective, just a little easier field than what he faced, specifically 2 and 3 back in the Oaklawn mile and then the mine shaft. The mile distance, a little bit of concern for me, 0 for 5 at it. That's really my biggest question mark with Silver Prospector. But I like the fact that this horse has tactical speed and some ability to kick. I also like the fact that we get Stuart Elliott aboard. So I think the 10 is really interesting at a 12-1 price and should sit a fairly good trip here in this spot. For me, the other horse that I thought was interesting was the 7-horse Popular Kid, who's sitting on the board at 15-1. This is another horse where I look back and you have certain races that fit here. So the horse is 6 for 23 at the distance. Love that. We've run at Lone Star twice, 1 win, 1 second, including a very nice number here going a mile over this dirt course. I like the fact that last time out we faced Tut's Revenge. We saw come back and win last time. This horse seems to be in really good form right now. I expect that you're going to get a nice setup. And again, this is a horse that can sit right behind the speed and pounce. So with both the 7 and the 10, I'm looking for horses that can stalk and then be able to close and try and get the job done.
Yes, Luis is correct. Mary Rampolini had a story that, Elector did not make the trip. The other Sadler horses did, but Elector is going to stay home. The Triple Bend Stakes on Saturday at Santa Anita Park, going 7 furlongs, grade 2, is where he's likely headed. And hey, if Flight Line was in your barn is not going to that race, then I think that's pretty much up for you to take there. The 7 Popular Kid, Calbred, one that I'm familiar with. Another, I'm like, oh yeah, he's here now. Okay. If you like Rated R Superstar, you know what? With the scratch of the 5, I'm going to add him in because I did kind of like him a little bit. So I'll go ahead and add him back in here. Rated R Superstar, you brought up a lot of great points about, Silver Prospector. Looked at the wrong one. Silver Prospector, you brought up a lot of great points. Let's talk about 6, Mish, because I did use, you didn't. To me, now, does your opinion on Mish change now that Elector is out? Let me throw that back at you.
No, not even close.
Okay.
So my problem with Mish is the 2 races that put him in the contention here are the last 2 races, right? And both of those races are 1-turn miles, not 2-turn miles. And I love me some C2 racing, so bummed to knock him here. But like the fact that you had 1-turn mile wins and then you're stepping up here into a 2-turn mile and your price is short and you're not the fastest horse, right? No chance Mish gets the lead here because of both Shaz and Flash of Mischief, who are both faster than him on the outside. I think both have to send from those spots. It just puts Mish in a completely new spot. And those 2 races, so he's won 3 in a row, but the 1-3 back was at 6 furlongs against State Bred optional 12,000, right? Then this last race here was the 2 back was a mile allowance, $25,000, beat Embrace My Uncle and Chucky, not great horses, right? And then we come back and we run in the last race optional 25,000 and we destroyed Disc Jockey and Hercules. Again, someone who follows Gulfstream, they would be rolled in this field. So the waters get a lot deeper. You have some buyers that look inflated to me. It's a 1-turn mile at Gulfstream, not 2 turns. There's just so much for me to try and get past. And then you have 7-2. And then you have Safi outside of Florida. And you have all these other things that kind of add up to me that make it really hard for me to play Mish.
All good points. I think especially now with Elector out, there's one less pace horse in there that it's going to make it easier for him, less of a pace duel. Edwin Gonzalez came out with Safi for this horse and for horse in the last race as well. And I think this horse is on an upward trajectory, but I do understand why you want to play against. The Sire Field Commission never raced around 2 turns. 30 starts and was retired at age 7. Never once raced around 2 turns. I was like, I don't know anything about Field Commission. Woodbine horse, 1 turn. Again, maybe not the best sign. Moving forward. Do you want to talk about the 8 Shahs? Because neither of us are using them. This is the 2-1 favorite. And we talked about former Bafferts earlier in the card. So what do you think about Shahs?
Yeah, so I just adjusted my ticket. So I'm not going to use Elector. And I was between the 8 Shahs and the 9 Flash of Mischief. I'm going to use the 9 instead of the 8. So we talked about these Baffert horses, and Shahs was a Baffert horse who's now in the Sean McCarthy barn. They have not been running great since they came back, so that's an obvious concern there. This is one of those horses that was supposed to be really good for Baffert. It was a monster in debut, ran a 105 buyer, looked awesome, stretches out to 7 furlongs, ran second to Disco Ball, who got DQ'd and because of the interference toward Shaz. And then last time out, went wire to wire, going a mile. That mile wasn't very fast. They ended up going 137. The final 2 furlongs were in 27 seconds, which is really slow. So this horse went 110 and then 137. It's just not that quick. The buyers have been decreasing for this horse essentially since that victory. We've not been able to get back to that number. Now we're switching barns. Now we're shipping, doing all these other new things. To me, that the 2-to-1 price is just tough to swallow. I would much rather play the 9 Flash of Mischief, who I just added to my ticket, who's right outside as the speed horse that could try and wire this field. Why? Well, this horse is setting up for this race. Broberg does well in these type of spots. Second off the layoff, he's 20%. This horse had a very good Ohio Derby against Warrant last year, ran well in the Delta Mile, was able to win that, taking the field gate to wire, almost gate to wire essentially, ran well in the Poinsettia, ended up running third in that spot, going a mile 16th at Oaklawn. But this is second off a layoff, second out as a 4-year-old. This is a logical time for this horse to take a monster step forward. And if we improve off of those numbers that we saw late last year, all of a sudden the 9 Flash of Mischief fits. I don't necessarily know that the Flash of Mischief needs the lead. He's been able to win from right off it. So he could sit right outside of Shaz or could absolutely take it to Shaz and try and go to the lead. I like his versatility more than Shaz. I love his price at 12-to-1. More than Shaz at 2-to-1. And Eckleberry and Broberg are sneaky good, especially at these smaller tracks.
I went back and forth about Flash of Mischief, and yeah, I mean, you could use him. I think he falls in that pile of a lot of these horses that you can make a good case for it. And how deep do you want to go? If I went all in this race, my ticket's only $54. So if you feel like this is a race where, yeah, there's a good price or Flash of Mischief or losing 3-to-1 Elector, it's going to screw up a lot of these morning lines. So you don't know what price you'll get on it. You can hit the L button there. But we definitely have a few horses we like here at prices, Mike. It's going to be an exciting edition of the Steve Sexton Mile. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, these last 2 races are great betting races. I mean, these are wonderful races to finish a tournament up with as well. I mean, Lone Star's win, play, show exactly. That is it. And you have to bet your entire bankroll in the first half of the card and then half of whatever you have left in the last half of the card. The last 2 races generally will, it's great. You have to bet $2,500 in 6 races. That's how they do it in the first half of the card, then half of what you got left. So these last 2 races will be keys, and they're wonderful betting races. So I'm excited to kind of play this thing and see where these odds shake out. And with Elector out, it's really going to shuffle this odds board too. I wouldn't be shocked if Shaz goes off at 6-5, 7-5, something like that. I think it's awfully vulnerable at that price.
That's going to do an episode of the Magic Mike Show as I stumble over the word episode, not the word I thought I would stumble on. Thanks so much for joining Mike and I covering Lone Star Park's Monday late pick 5 sequence. The reason we did a pick 5, 15% takeout. It is a much higher for the pick 4. And we talk about all the time, we try to support the smaller tracks on their big days with these low takeouts. That's why we did Canterbury yesterday. Sorry about the weather. If you played the ticket that I had put out there, it cashed for, I think, a 7%. ROI? Yeah, it returned $48, I think. Yeah.
If you played my ticket from the podcast, it cashed for $1 because both of my horses scratched in the first leg into the favorite.
Hey, now hey, listen, that's how we do it. Look, Canterbury, we'll be back. We promise. It was a lot of fun covering it. We will do the pick 5 next time because we kind of screwed that up. So maybe the weather was like, listen, guys, you screwed up. We're just going to literally wash this away and worry about it later. But hey, we're still focused on Lone Star Park. Our tickets are down below. Before you leave, hit subscribe and give us a like on the video. We appreciate it. But my ticket, as I've been adjusting on the fly for 50 cents, start off 1-5 with 6-9, singling the 9, 4-5-7, and then 1-4, 6, 7, 10 for $30. Mr. Somich.
I'm going to play a 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go 1-5 with 4, 6, 7, 9, with 9, with 1, 2, 4, 7, with 1, 7, 9, 10. And that'll cost you $64 for 50 cents.
Oh boy. Listen, we got one more thing to talk about. Tomorrow, Friday, May 27th, Blinkers Off is going to be tomorrow instead of tonight because we also have the tournament show. So tomorrow is the Racing Dudes next tournament challenge. I know Davey was in the chat asking about it. I know a lot of the folks that are watching us live right now have been in it before. You're going to join us again tomorrow. Mike, just a real quick overview in case someone's listening, you're not sure what it is. Tell them about it.
Yeah, it's a special tournament for Racing Dudes subscribers. If you're a subscriber to the Somobombs, the Rockets, or the Premium Picks, you can jump in on your dashboard. It costs $10 to enter. And Racing Dudes is funding with an extra $150 site credit for whatever subscriber is able to win the tournament and beat the dudes. We've got 4 of us dudes who are going to be in it, and dudettes, I should say, as Miranda's joining as well. So it'll be 5 of us there. And then we get about 25 people or so who all jump in. There'll be a live show tomorrow that Magic is going to hold down with Jared that closes out the Santa Anita cards. It'll be kind of fun because you can follow that late pick 4 at Santa Anita as well. And it's a fun way to just kind of dip your toes into the tournament scene, have fun with the community, and also see if you can win $150 for a bonus, man. It's nice because you're putting $10 up. You can win 120 if you win the tournament, and on top of that, the $150. So you're getting 27-1 on a shot that's we got about 24, 25 people in. So a pretty good deal in that sense as well. And you're muted. Still muted.
Sorry, didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. I type loudly. I try to be courteous about it. Bree, there we go. Let's try this again. Bree says that she's in. Bree's done very well in this multiple times. God, okay, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. It got muted on its own, I swear. I'm going to put my hands up for the rest of the show. Manu did this. You son of a bitch. Manu did so well 2 tournaments ago that he would have qualified for a BCBC seat or something like that, right? If he had been in the actual tournament with the exact same picks that he played, it would have been a huge prize for him. And that's kind of the fun of this too, is it not only you see how you do against us. Shit, Manu could have. Sorry about this, Manu, in hindsight, but you should have entered that.
Yeah, we use the same tournament races as the BCBC, the 15,000, and the NHC, so you can see how you stack up against the people trying to qualify for the main tournaments and for the big bucks. So it's a good way to just kind of again, if you haven't played tournaments before, great way to get involved. Check it out, have some fun with it, and then get addicted.
Yeah, it's a big struggle for me. Luckily, I have a 1-year-old, so it makes it harder for me to just get easily distracted, but it definitely could happen to me. One final note before we go, the Belmont Stakes is coming up. Jared took an early look at who is kind of looking at going into the race right now. Maybe find some prices here, but then we also have a preview. Speaking of Belmont, Mike, you previewed the Soaring Softly Stakes, which is the Saturday feature at Belmont. That is a loaded field. For being a grade 3, that is a loaded race.
It's a lot of fun, man. You got 3 Clements in there. Like Darnay is going to be the headliner there, but the other 2 are not to be played with either. You've got a Wesley Ward coming in. You got Lone Speed, who I think is a shot at winning the race or being on top. So kind of went into the whole field, kind of how I think it's going to set up there. But a wonderful betting race. We'll see if all the Clements end up in. If so, I think the one that Cancel is riding is actually at a price. I think like 12-1 or so is interesting underneath as well. So talked a little about who I like on top there, the super that I would play, the tries that I would play to try and get a little value as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful betting race, though.
It's a great one. Go check out that preview over at racingnews.com. And then tomorrow night on Blinkers Off, Jared and I are going to be previewing Monday's action at Santa Anita Park during the Rapid Fire segment in between the tournament races. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have previews for that. Enjoy our holiday weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I am at Kalleward. He is at Somobomb18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Race_Dudes. Once more, Blinkers Off tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. So until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike. And Carolina's only minus 155 for this series, which is better than the 180 it started with. So bet the Hurricanes.
Bet the Hurricanes. Good luck, Mike, at Lone Star. Start the NHC table, 145 qualifying. We'll see you next week, Mike. We'll see everybody else on Friday. Take care. We'll see you then.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels. Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,